Man kills friend with crossbow while trying to save him from attacking pit bulls. Hit the dog, went through the door, and got a killing shot. With a crossbow. That's some Final Destination shit right there. I don't know why, but I feel like it's really important that I know the exact details of how he was situated at the door with the dogs and all the angles involved with the shot, and most morbidly whether he was mortally wounded and had time to bemoan his situation, curse his luck, or if it basically put his lights out and he maybe had no idea just how ridiculous his final moment would truly be. Shooters at the bottom of the stairs shooting at a dog at the top of the stairs who's trying to get through a door being held shut by the guy who died, so all four shooter, dog, door, victim are in a straight line. Because the shot is coming from the bottom of the stairs, any shot that misses is going to hit the victim in the upper body, as the top of the stairs are blocking line of sight to his lower body. Article says the shot scraped the top of the dog's neck, so that barely counts as hitting anything, and it went through the door at full power and into the guy pressing against it. The only way I can make this work in my head is that he had his back pressed against the door and the bolt hit his heart or an artery. I'm sure he had a broad-tipped bolt which is for soft tissue penetration, so I can't believe the whole bolt made it all the way through a door. Most hunting crossbows are around 300 FPS. By comparison, a .45 ACP round, which is considered a very low penetrating round, is 850 FPS. It slows down drastically on hard materials, usually stopped. So when you think of the unlikelihood of a bolt even making it through the door and yet penetrating just enough to hit something vital, it's even more freaky. An arrow, actually a bolt, is going to have considerably more mass and a sharper, harder tip than a bullet, which factors into the penetrating power. An arrow isn't designed to deform either, while many bullets are. That's a very valid statement. Now I wish I still had a crossbow so I could test this theory. Bows and arrows are a lot more dangerous than people give credit for. Even a low-poundage bow can put an arrow through a person at short range. When I was 10, I went through a hunter safety course with my father in order to get a hunting license in the state I grew up. First thing the instructor did was come out and set a bucket of sand on a stool and stepped back about 20 yards. He fired a .357 round into the bucket, walked up, fished around and pulled out the slug. Then the instructor went back to the same 20-yard marker and shot an arrow from a recurve bow, not even a compound hunting bow. The arrow went straight through the bucket and continued on into the backstop of the range about 15 yards past the bucket. Obviously left an impact on my life, considering 30 years later, whenever I hear about incidents like this, that's the first lesson that comes to mind. Always know what is behind your target and understand the physics of the weapon you are shooting. Last week I was in the backyard with a homemade oak trad bow, 40 pounds tops, shooting field points. I missed the target, hit my wooden fence maybe 50 feet and heard it thunk. No biggie, I knew where my arrow was. Except when I was done shooting, I couldn't find it anywhere. Turns out it hit the fence, tore off a chunk of wood, blew clean through, and ended up in the alley behind my house. Low-power homemade bow and field points at 50 feet. Arrows are mean. When I shoot a deer, I often turn my phone on and video the track recovery after the shot. The video usually starts with me walking to my arrow, pulling it up from the ground it's stuck in, and examining it to look how good of a hit it was. Color of blood, fur, other liquids on arrow indicates the shot quality. I'll share these videos with friends, family, coworkers, most of whom don't hunt. They are always shocked to see the bloody arrow sticking up from the ground, and ask, "It went right through the deer?" Yep. They go through a big-bodied mammal like a hot knife through butter, and get stuck in 6 inches of dirt under it. I even shot a buck one time that skipped a couple steps and looked around like, "What the hell was that?" before he tipped over. He had no idea anything even happened. I think most people imagine the arrow slightly going in and sticking out from the critter, like in movies. It's especially funny how the arrows get stuck in zombie heads. You're telling me a child can put a knife through the rotten skull and an arrow gets stuck in it? And it only penetrated a few centimeters? What kind of crossbows are these guys shooting with? People think of arrows just sticking in targets or from the movies as some sort of weak stick thrower. Put a broadhead on it and it'll punch right through an animal, no sweat. You can hunt bear with a bow. Nuff said. He must feel horrible. This is so sad. The burden he will carry for the rest of his life. I feel sorry for the both of them. To be fair, I'd rather be shot by a crossbow than torn apart by pit bulls. He had barricaded himself on the other side of a door. I'm pretty sure he was safe from the pit bulls when shot. If he was completely safe from the dogs behind the door, then the person with the crossbow is stupid for taking the shot instead of waiting for animal control. The shot shouldn't have been taken at all unless it was urgent. If this is actually what happened, I can definitely see him being prosecuted. You're assuming the shooter was aware that the victim was safe, and that doesn't appear to the case. The victim was crying for help and the Good Samaritan police description reacted. Also the fact that the pit bull could attack himself as well. Right. My first thought was, what if he had hit one of the dogs, and then the other turned and rushed him? Kinda takes time and effort to reload a crossbow on its own without the stress of an aggressive dog running at you. Kinda takes time and effort to reload a crossbow. A full round action that provokes attacks of opportunity. That's why you've gotta take rapid reload. Who could have predicted an arrow-proof dog in an arrow-prone door? Seriously, crossbow of the gods there. Well, I certainly don't mean to place any blame on the guy, but if you've ever shot a bow you should have a clue. Arrows are nothing like the movies, they'll fly right through you and keep on going. I have no experience with crossbows, but I believe they're generally more powerful than vertical bows. Compound can compete, but crossbows can absolutely pack a mean punch. They're definitely more powerful than regular bows. Here's how you can tell: you can draw a regular bow with your hand. That's how they work. Try to pull back the string on any quality crossbow. It's basically impossible. You need a tool that uses a ton of leverage to draw the string and lock it into place. But yeah, you're exactly right. An arrow, even with a broadhead tip, will whisk right through a critter and keep going. Crossbows and the heaviest compound bows can both fire a bolt arrow at about the same speed. Edit, I'm wrong, apologies, you got that the other way around. Arrows are significantly longer, and can weight up to twice as much as a crossbow bolt. Crossbow bolt will, on average, be around 125 to 150 grains, less than 10 grams. An arrow can weight up to 275 grains, a bit less than 18 grams. Edit, looking into it, because I realized compound will have carbon fiber arrows which should be lighter. Apparently even that's not the case. An arrow can be anything from 5 to 8 grains per pound of draw weight, which means an 80-pound bow could have a 640-grain arrow, 40 grams. That's ridiculous. The adult male pit bulls were known to fight and were usually kept in separate cages, Harrington said. They had a history of being aggressive, and one had previously attacked a person who required medical attention. Sounds like this guy brought this on himself. I feel sorry for the neighbor who ended up accidentally killing someone. It's lucky the child was unharmed. Edited to add, I love dogs and am not anti-pit. But any reasonable person understands that dogs of this type are potentially more dangerous than other breeds and should be trained and cared for only by experienced dog owners who understand the dangers. I know this will be controversial to say, but I liken it to the responsibilities of owning a gun, deadly in the hands of the ignorant or ill-intentioned, but generally safe in the hands of the educated and experienced. And I say generally because even with proper precautions, accidents can still happen. Yeah, this is some horrible dog owner WTF shit here. The guy apparently has a child in a home with 2 dangerous pit bulls that are so badly trained that they need to be kept in separate cages and have attacked people in the past? Not saying he deserved to die in a freak crossbow accident, but that poor child could have easily been killed or mauled by one of those dogs by the sounds of it. I wouldn't be comfortable living in that scenario, where your pit bulls are on the verge of a fight. What is wrong with people? Sentimentality? Idiot probably tried to train them to guard his home without any idea of what he was actually doing. That, or training them to fight. The worst part of this story is the statement that this man died hiding from being attacked by his own his GF's dog. What in the hell, man? Most dog fatalities are dogs killing their own humans. Most of them are also pit bulls or pit bull mixes. Interesting to note, if you look at the 2019 fatalities, some of them are from people who owned their dog for 10+ years and never saw any aggression out of them. The killing instinct is bred into certain dog breeds. Even if you think they love you, one moment of weakness can trigger that instinct and they will kill you. Dachshunds are bred to hunt badgers. They are incredibly aggressive at times. They are just a lot weaker than pits. That's the main issue with pits, their strength. All dogs are just animals. The strength of a pit means when it has a relapse, the level of damage inflicted is huge. That said, I pet all the dogs. Yes, exactly. Pit bulls are on the more aggressive side, but so are many small dogs. Difference is you can handle a 18-pound dog acting up much easier than a 60-pound one. Most pit bull owners simply shouldn't own one and are irresponsible owners. Also, pet all the dogs, dude. Chihuahuas are fucking monsters. I wholeheartedly believe that if they were even twice the size they are now, we'd be fucked as a civilization. You're not wrong, lol. I grew up with a Chihuahua I loved, but man, she was a bitch.